This is the song that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend. Some people started singing it, not knowing what it was. And they'll
We'll
continue
continue
singing
singing
it
it
forever
forever
just because this is the
the
song
song
that
that
doesn't end.
Yes, that's right. Star Trek, the original series, season 3, episode 18, The Lights of Zetar, is over and has been since 1969. But we're just getting started here on Live Long and Podcast for TED Trek Wednesdays. And that little homage here is to pay tribute to the fact that this episode is co-written by Shari Lewis from Lamb Chop's Play Along. If you know that show, which was there was 2 generations, a 1960s version, the Shari Lewis show, and then Lamb Chop's Play Along. So which I watched as a kid. So felt like bringing that in. I'm Dave Mader, coming at you with Star Trek and TV movie reviews. As mentioned, we're talking about The Lights of Zetar. Let's bring in my dad, Ted, to talk about this episode. Dad, how are you doing?
Good, thanks.
Dad, do you know Shari Lewis?
No, I don't know Shari Lewis.
You don't know the Shari Lewis show? That's why I was asking you about Captain Kangaroo.
Yeah, no, the Shari Lewis show, first I've heard of it is tonight.
That's the first year. Okay, well, it was in 1960 on NBC. That's why. But maybe Adam knows. Adam, are you familiar?
I know Shari, and thank you for that great trivia. Lamb Chop. I work, as you know, in the pet industry, and we have a Lamb Chop dog toy that sells like freaking crazy, and everybody knows Shari Lewis. Everybody, but I never knew she wrote a Star Trek episode. That's fantastic.
Yes, co-wrote this episode with her husband, Jeremy Tarcher. Yes, and just to bring up in here, this is Shari Lewis, the puppeteer, famous for Lamb Chop and Hush Puppy and a number of other characters. So there was like a 1960s version of her show, the Shari Lewis show, this is as she would have appeared then. So she was like a ventriloquist and puppeteer and children's entertainer. And this is her from 1960. But then she also had like this run in like the 80s and 90s. So she was also involved with like my generation and Jeff as well, doing the children stuff. I was always into puppets and things like that. So and when I was like, Shari Lewis, I saw her name come up in the credits tonight for this episode, and I was like, I know Shari. Oh, it's Lamb Chop. So hey, if you don't know her, then all good. But hey, that's her. She wrote this episode, and so it immediately made me sort of like it more because Shari Lewis was a great talent. She died in 1998, but
she was a great talent and great legacy. And you know, I'm sure we have a Lamb Chop in the house, and I'm trying to get my wife to bring it to me. So
classic sock puppet. So right up there with, I think, with a Jim Henson, like sort of in the same kind of a sense there, maybe. And let's talk about the episode. She co-wrote The Lights of Zetar, which is a season 3 episode. It's all about the Enterprise running away from a cloud of lights. And there's a couple other concepts introduced here, like Memory Alpha, the big library for the Federation, and some other things, as well as a love interest for Scotty and this new character and Lieutenant Romaine. So let's jump into it. Dad, The Lights of Zetar, where does this rank for you?
Not that high for me. I just can't see Scotty getting into it with, derelicts of duty while he's got some girl there he's got him smitten over. This doesn't pass the mustard test for me. I know that they probably, they gave McCoy one where he had an ex-girlfriend, and they gave one to Spock's ex-girlfriend, and that one was both. And Kirk, how many did he have? Many. But now they have to give Scotty,
Right. Well, and just on that, Scotty also had another episode, if you remember, when we watched Two Mourns for Adonais, which was, when Apollo, the Greek god, was there. And there was there was Carolyn Palamas, remember? And Scotty was obsessed with her, and he was kind of not really focused. This kind of felt like the same thing again, but this was the new girl in his life, I guess. Her name was, they said it a lot, Mira Romaine. Adam,
almost like Mary.
Miri. Oh, is it like Miri?
There it is. Jody, I see you're on and watching here, and there it is. You got your Miri reference.
Mira Romaine.
Okay.
Yes. There you go. There she is. Okay, so Adam, just on the episode overall, where how do you feel?
To me, again, I didn't mind the episode, honestly. I thought it was a pretty good episode, but I watched it at 6 this morning, and I'm really buying into my own theory that these episodes are 10 minutes too long, because there's just a little too much filler. Because again, I just wanted it to wrap up, and there's just little things that are just too much talking, too much.
You could trim a little bit off here, a little bit off there, and you could maybe
Yeah.
make it just a little bit of a tighter story.
Yeah, I mean, 10 minutes, and then I think I would have loved it. It was a kind of cool story. I didn't mind Mira. Ted, I agree. The romance was a little odd. Everybody's entitled to romance, but don't do it on the bridge. And I loved how Scotty was dressed down by Kirk there. Where the hell are you? Is my engineer in sorry,
I find the doctor in engineering?
That's right. That was awesome. But not a bad episode.
He had these really long sideburns that I don't think he had before, did he?
No.
He has them in sometimes. Yes, I did notice these. I don't have I wonder if I'll see if I can find a photo here of Scotty from this episode. But yes, Scotty and Shatner, as they were approaching 1970, these sideburns were getting bigger and bushier, and it is like compared to like 1966 and some. Oh, here's a little bit of a profile there on Scotty's sideburns. Those are some significant sideburns, almost approaching beard.
Shatner turned 90 yesterday, by the way.
Yeah, it was it 2 days ago or a day or yesterday?
Maybe 2 days ago, yes.
But Shatner, at the age of 90, he has outlived much of the original series cast, including the writers of this episode. Well, now they're not cast members, but involved in the production. I don't know if this actor is still alive. I'd have to just check her too. Her name is Jan Schutan, and she's as for all cases is still alive at the age of 88, as she is now. So, but yes, let's break this down. So this is okay. All about. This episode is like they're going to Memory Alpha. Scotty's got a girlfriend. He's very smitten with her. Sure. And I actually do like this Mira Romaine character more so than maybe some of these other versions of this archetype we've seen. Because like the Carolyn Palamas or there's been numerous women Starfleet officers who are usually a little bit one-dimensional. Even if they were progressive for the time. I think Mira Romaine is actually maybe a little bit further, and maybe we can attribute some of that to Shari Lewis being a co-writer here. They felt more realistic. I thought like Scotty and Romaine had a more real back and forth than I've seen here in other versions of this. Dad?
Sorry if you want to go to Ted.
Oh, no, go, Adam, go ahead.
I agree with you. I think that she was definitely more real, but she was also, when she was pissed off, You could see that she, the temper there. When she didn't agree with something either Scotty or Kirk said, hey, it was pushback. As a crew member, and then back to the times of Mira seemed kind of creeped out by Scotty. I did see that vibe too, but she also liked the attention. I think but.
Yeah, I don't know if they had a great romantic chemistry. Like, I just think I look at Scotty, James Doohan, and I'm like, I don't know if
he's got really bad teeth, eh?
Yeah, he's got really bad teeth.
Yeah,
they're gonna drop her off though at the end of the show back at the library planet, right?
Right.
So that's the end of the relationship.
Well, yeah, I wasn't quite sure if she was going to stay on the ship or if she was just there temporarily. They said this is kind of her first time in deep space, and Scott and her space sickness or her space fever was maybe a factor. But yeah, like I don't really understand sort of, was she just there sort of for a couple weeks? Was she going to be a crew member? What does this thing do? And so the planet in question is called Memory Alpha, which is a concept I think only used in this episode, but it, like the wiki that I go to for all of the Star Trek information is named after this Memory Alpha. There's also a website called Memory Beta too. And the idea of the
logo for Q.
kind of a Q. Well, the idea of this is that it's like the Smithsonian for the Federation, or it's like their central library. Right. However, it's got no shielding or no protection. Spock says we built it but it's academic. Like we don't want it to be like militaristic in any way. We didn't want to make a target, but that leads to it actually being vulnerable from the Zetars in this episode. But where was I? Yeah, the phenomenon shows up pretty quickly. It's this cloud of light. The Lights of Zetar, as we'll come to know it. But they think it's just like a storm or something. There's a bit of a mystery here that when we don't really kind of figure out what this is until I'd say at least halfway through, if not further into it. But they encounter this pretty early in the episode. It
was moving faster. The Lights of Zetar were moving faster than light speed, which I thought was funny too. So.
Yeah, it was moving faster than light speed, which they said can't happen in nature. Only ships, like warp-capable ships, go faster than light. There's no natural phenomenon, which I felt like was a better science fiction tie-in than we've seen in some like in season 1, they were very loose with the science fiction. I feel like as the seasons were actually going, a little bit of that and the writing was progressing. We got a question here. Is the old Star Trek like Justice League 2017 and the new Star Trek like Zack Snyder's Justice League? Dad, do you want to tackle this question?
No, I'm going to leave that one to you, Dave.
I would say that it's not necessarily a proper analogy. I would say that I thought that the Zack Snyder's Justice League, which came out this past like week or a week ago or so, was much better than the 2017 version. But I don't know if I could compare like J.J. Abrams' Star Trek to this Star Trek in the same way. It's like a completely new reboot. Mira has a cold sore, Jody says, that disappears and reappears. So she's clearly an alien. Or she just has the herpes virus on her face. But that's a cold sore. But yes, the lights show up. They're hit with it. And Kirk can't talk. They're all affected by it. We find out a little bit differently. But she is like clearly targeted a little bit more. She has more of an experience from this initial thing. You see like a lot of close-ups on her eyes. She's the only one who passes out. And then they, but they kind of realize that it affects her differently. And so they get her to sick bay, which I thought was interesting too. When they get her to sick bay, she's like, I don't need to be here. And what's the big deal? And a little bit uncharacteristic of what I would expect from a character, but I think that's why I'm saying that she's better written, because she feels more realistic, not, even though they said that she's got a high propensity for, what was it? Like, I'm trying to think of the word. Well, sorry. Nobody else remembers. Learning techniques. She was more susceptible to like sort of suggestion or something like that. That's why the Zetarians were sort of that it set her apart from the rest of the crew and the rest of the people at Memory Alpha that they were trying to get through. But when they first wake her up, she's like croaking. That's what I was watching this with closed captions tonight, and the closed captions literally say croaking, and she's going. And so much is that they say those are the same words that I heard her making when she was attacked. That Scotty says about this other woman that dies. I'm like, they're not words. Like, here she is. Oh, is that frozen on my photo?
Yeah, we can see it.
Oh, you can't see that. Okay.
I thought it was like her voice was slowed down so much that it sounded like croaking, but if you had sped up the voice, it probably could understand it.
Oh, okay. I didn't thought of that because in the closed caption it just says croaking.
I thought the Spock was going to figure that out and speed up her voice and figure out what the communications were.
Spock is largely unhelpful in this.
Yeah, he did figure out that it was an alien and it had several. It wasn't a phenomenon or a storm. It was an alien.
Yeah, he's always good at telling you what it's not. He goes, it's not this, it's not that. But other than that, I don't know anything, and we can't defend against it.
Well,
and we can't.
I think that when you're exploring space and you're finding something out for the first time, you've never seen anything like it. Well, it's not like you can say you can go back to your previous knowledge and experience and say what it is. So it's one of those things that the science officer's never going to know everything that's out there. Just in the Milky Way alone, I saw an article the other day and it said there's 500 billion suns and 200 billion planets in the Milky Way.
Right.
That's real life. That's not made up. That's real life.
And that's just this galaxy.
That's just in this galaxy.
Right.
500 billion suns.
Yeah. And if only even if like a fraction of them, a very small fraction of them had planets and potential for life, like it's, like there's a
billion pennies.
There's a very big universe out there. Just scratching the surface. Maybe even some Zetarians. You got to be careful though. Space will try to kill you.
Yeah.
But yeah, also I just wrote here too, when Mira is in the sick bay, I just like, because Scotty at the beginning of the episode, it's like, she's the nicest lass I ever met. And she's like, I don't want to be here. Let me out of this room. I'm like, didn't she say she was nice? But they say that this could be a result of space sickness or she's just gaining her space legs. Scotty says he was practically born to space travel in this episode, which I don't know.
Well, the thing is that none of them knew that the Zetarians got into her eyes and into her, I guess, her brain. No one knew that, so that was why she was experiencing.
Did that make her meaner? Do you think Zetarians were making her meaner?
I don't know. I just think they were screwing around with her regular brain in some way.
Right. I think I especially want to get to the end of this episode because I think that's where I have the most questions. But this part of the episode's pretty clear. Like, then the storm is heading for Memory Alpha. They don't have the capacity to warn them about it. They can't get through. There's no way they can't get there in time, and so the storm, the Zetarians, they go there to try to, as we find out, they were trying to like take over their minds or trying to cheat death. They were kind of like that other episode where remember how like Kirk and like and Spock and Pulaski, or the woman who Diana Muldaur who played Pulaski on Next Gen, they were all taken over by those big orbs things. Do you remember that one?
I don't remember, but I think this alien was much like the alien in the one where they went to that planet and the things they look like jelly and they sucked onto your back and Spock had to kill it with light.
Oh, that was the one where Kirk's brother died.
But it was one entity with lots of pieces. Yeah. And this reminded me of that this was part of the being was in her.
Yeah, we've seen so many of these episodes now. Sometimes I have a hard time remembering the name, but yeah, it'll come to me. But yeah, like just this idea of like the consciousness of a life form sort of being able to survive past the death of their planet, right? Like that they sort of their planet died.
Kind of like Zargon.
Zargon, that's it. Remember Zargon?
In the light receptacles.
In the receptacles, yes. That I was like, but they were. This was. I almost felt like that same technology, but in a different form here.
Yes, it was almost in the same form as a little bit more like acid rock disco than the one where the Klingons and the 33 Klingons and 33 Federations. They sealed everybody else in the other part of the ship.
Right. Day of the Dove.
They had to be nice to get rid of the alien.
Yeah. We need no urging to hate humans. Get out of here.
It's kind of the same kind of swirly, kind of light alien.
Oh yeah, they love their squirrely light things, especially in this third season, which we talked about. Like they didn't have as much, like more of the budget was going to pay actors' salaries. They had less money for special effects and big sets and things like that. So a lot of these episodes are more dialogue driven and character driven, largely than special effects driven.
Hence, 10 minutes too long. They're getting the money's worth out of the actors, Adam.
Yeah,
maybe, but not so much on the writers.
Right, but okay, I am going to quickly here skip to the end because it's the part I'm struggling with the most because they get this thing out of her. It's almost like an exorcism. Once they kind of figure out that it's the Zetarians and her brainwaves are changing, and they're taking over her mind, and they got to take her to the anti-grav thing, which is what the thing that Khan had tried to put Kirk in, like back in Space Seed. It felt like that same chamber.
Yeah.
But okay, like even if you could get the Zetarians out of her, why did the storm stop chasing them?
Well, that's what I didn't understand either. Like the episode just seemed to end. So they have
I think it died, but I don't know.
But why?
Sure.
Yeah, but why? Yeah.
The pressure dissipated. It couldn't take it. I don't know.
Like if they had these extra 10 minutes to waste on Scotty and her flirting, they could have explained, and they died, or Captain, it's having an effect on the cloud, and or something.
Right, because I ended up doing 55 minutes on this show because I watched the last 5 minutes again, and I still don't understand what happened. Like it just ended, and
right. We get this scene at the very end, which is Spock and McCoy and Kirk talking about how is Mira doing after her recovery, and McCoy just wants to make a point that the power of love is what cured her, and like Scotty believing in her was the whole thing. And then he's like, well, all my senior department heads are in agreement. Aha. And that's like their comedic moment to end the episode. But they hadn't wrapped up this story really. Like it wouldn't have taken much.
No, they wouldn't have taken much. And yeah, there's just too many questions. I don't know what happened. And the other thing is that, coming back to Memory Alpha is like, is all this stuff gone? Like, remember they were talking about this is a catastrophe for the galaxy, but but
then they're going to drop this girl on there with no, with what? What's she going to do with all those dead bodies?
And here's another big thing that bothered me about this episode. Actually, I'm going to drop my rating at the end because I think I'm talking myself out of it. But Scotty knew that there was problems. And when they're, being, at the table and they're doing their investigation and Scotty go, oh yeah, she told me this and she told me that. And she told, man, you just let a colony or whoever is dying on that station, die. You could have avoided this, buddy. You got to open your mouth. Oh, I just thought it was space sickness. What?
Oh, you don't report space sickness, Captain.
Yeah, nobody reports space sickness because, we might be kicked off the ship. Well, maybe you should be, damn it.
Right. Well, they show this in many times in Star Trek, not just Scotty in this episode, but that a Starfleet it's always a male character becomes lovesick over somebody, right? And I think it must just come back to this idea of chivalry. I think that this was sort of what a good guy would do. He would worry about his love interest, I guess. He would care, not that you shouldn't, but he would maybe show that more, protect them, or be their advocate. But it comes across now, watching this, oh, I would, yeah. Why are you in sick bay? She's not his wife, right? It seems like they've been dating for 2 weeks, right? They're close. But they're not his behavior is a little bit suspect. Although it could be worse.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and the other thing that again, you know that I've talked about the way that women are treated, but they keep calling her as the little girl, or how's the girl doing? And she's a crewman, for crying out loud.
A lieutenant.
She's a lieutenant. Exactly, she's an officer, and she's referred to as the girl.
The girl. Is the girl gonna be able to recover? I think, and Spock calls her the girl too. It's not even just like the more chauvinistic, perhaps, in Kirk. But yeah, it's weird. But I guess, Dad, tell me, it was the 60s, Dave.
The 60s. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know that one.
But, the whole scene here at the end, like, I don't even understand how they figure out why pressure was going to have an effect on these aliens. Because they realize because they fire their phasers at the cloud, right? And they realize it's going to hurt her. So they say, we can't kill the aliens without killing her. So we got to figure a way around this. And they figure out that their brainwaves are connected and that they have some kind of connection. But the pressure thing is not explained. How she's able to survive this, because I think if you had to be in a pressurized thing like that, I think it would hurt you, wouldn't it? Or maybe not. Maybe I don't know enough about pressure science, but I thought it was a cool scene seeing her float there. I'm curious with fun facts with that, of how they achieved that at the time. But yeah, like, just Scotty putting her in there.
Probably had a forklift on the other side of it that you can't see the two prongs.
Maybe that's what they're doing.
Something like that.
Yeah, just like whatever. But overall, I don't want to trash on the episode, because I think it's a decent enough episode. I think, like, it has a lot of good points to it. I think that Mira, for the most part, is well enough written character. I just think some of the ways they treat her is not great. And just the science fiction of this, I feel like could have been a bit more. I think you could have taken out that scene at the end where they said that the power of love is what saved the day. And they could have had more of a confrontation with these aliens, because I do like the conversation Kirk has with the Zetarian through her, where he's like, you have a right to live, but not to take her life. And you have this, it's not yours to take. And she says, I'm going to fight for it and whatever. And so I think that there are some really strong writing threads here. And I think that this episode overall is a positive for me, but it's also kind of forgettable too, in a lot of ways. It's just like when you compare it to other episodes. Thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I started this podcast today by thinking, this was not a bad episode, and I think I'm getting the things that annoyed me to get the best of me, because the storyline is not bad. I mean, I know they go to the crew being taken over by an alien a lot, and so did Next Gen, but it's still a good story. I mean, what better way to talk to each other than through another human? I mean, really, it works. So I just wish the ending was better. It just ended, and Pardon me, Ted?
It just left the unanswered questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple. Like, and as much as we're saying it's long, you had time.
You had time. You did. They did have time, and that's the problem I'm starting to see watching so many of these episodes in one year, is that there's just so much time left over, and there's some great writing, and then they not blow it, but they could, because you just fill in some gaps. That's all we need. We just need some story ending.
Well, hey, let's do you want to get into the ratings, or do you want to maybe look at some facts first?
Let's do some facts. Let's do some facts.
All right, Adam, you're on deck. Here you go.
I am. I'm not ready.
Oh, okay. Well then,
give me a second here.
Okay, so all right, we're gonna get in here. Do you want to hear more of the Lamb Chop theme song? I can play that for you.
Let's do it again together.
I looked for some fun facts, but I didn't find any.
Right.
Well, here's one for you. I already kind of hit you with the Shari Lewis thing. She decided to write the romantic angle centered on Scotty as a way to break away from the formula of Kirk always getting the love interest. But it wasn't always Kirk getting the love interest. They did this, like I said, with Who Mourns for Adonais with Scotty. They did this Well, they also had the wolf in the fold where Scotty hated women and was murdering, or they thought he was murdering women, but he wasn't. That was the other time I can remember Scotty sort of having more romance. And they've done this with McCoy. Even Spock has a couple episodes where he gets a girlfriend. Never Sulu. Chekhov definitely does. Chekhov had one last week in the Apple. So most of them get around.
It also says here that Shari Lewis wanted to play the role of Mira Marmain, which would have been kind of cool too.
Shari Lewis, you say? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, she seems like she could have, why not?
Yep.
I don't know. She might have done that. She has that Bronx accent though.
Well, it's a broad crew, but Mira was Scotty's new engineering assistant and shared his fascination for machinery. So he was really breaking the rules, as fraternizing with somebody under him in the ranks.
But she wore blue instead of red, right? So she can.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting. Okay. What else do we got here? The glass-covered portal in the decompression chamber is a reuse of the suspension animation pod from Star Trek Space Steed, which was the Khan episode, as mentioned. They're saying that this is the final appearance of Andorians and Tellarites in the series, as we saw a number of dead Federation librarians and scientists in this episode. Sort of there, you see that Andorian in the traditional Andorian guard. I couldn't tell if that guy who's sort of in the middle of the position there and like sort of the purplish jumpsuit, if he was a Tellarite, but I guess he is.
That's why I got it as an Tellarite, because I was trying to decide, is he Klingon? But no, he's definitely Tellarite. So
he's Tellarite. And then this guy in the orange in the far background's human, I think.
Yeah. This was the only episode in the original series where the four principal personnel of the Enterprise, so Kirk, Spock, McCoy, and Scott, beamed down from the ship without any supporting crew members.
I don't even think they had a phaser.
They didn't, because they would have whipped them out and when they saw the deaths, right?
Right. That seemed odd that no one was armed, considering they couldn't talk to anyone on the planet. There was no energy or life signs going down. There was I didn't notice this, but they said when Scotty is helping a possessed Mira to her feet before picking her up, James Doohan's missing middle finger is clearly noticeable.
Oh, I want to go back and look at that, because you never see that.
But even when they say it's clearly noticeable, and this has come up before, I never notice.
Yeah, I didn't notice.
This is also the final appearance as John Winston as Kyle, who's often like transporter chief, or sometimes he's on the bridge. Sometimes,
It would be the worst job on the Enterprise. You're in a little room all the time. You don't.
That's why Chief O'Brien got out. He got to go work at the space station, but
yeah.
Yeah, the transporter operator, and even like when Scotty beams up, and remember she doesn't beam up right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
For some but he's like, get out of here! I'm the
way. Yes, exactly.
I can work these little knobs.
Yeah.
Any other trivia?
No, there's not much here. It's funny. Like they said, guys, did you find the lights a little annoying? The colors they chose, and
well, the disco lights, or the kaleidoscope effect.
Yeah,
it didn't bother me too much. Although I feel like we've seen so many like swirling light things over time.
Yeah, there's not much more here, Dave.
All right. Yeah, like I said, there's not as much production to it, really, and most of these effects we saw would have been added later. Let's get into the ratings so we can kind of quantify this episode. Jody has sent a message too, adding his rating. Let's see this up. All right, into the ratings.
Oh, sorry, there's one quote that I loved, and I didn't think Mr. Scott would go for the brainy type. I don't even think she's noticed she has a brain. That was, Chekhov and Sulu talking about Scott and Mira.
Yeah, I didn't love that. It coming from Sulu too. She doesn't have a brain. She's got other things. I also noticed that she's wearing the uniform. Where's my picture of her here? She's wearing like that season 3 velour uniform. right? It's a different material than in the first 2 seasons, and it actually looks a lot better. Like
It does look good.
Like all the uniforms look better because before it was just like this. It was more like this drab, like kind of cottony, twilly kind of material. Okay, let's rate this.
Oh, sorry, Dave. One more thing here before you move on to that ratings. Look what I found.
Lamb chop. He was right there. He was already there. Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Well, this is a song that never ends. Let's get into it. Okay, so Dad, do you want to start us off here with the Lights of Zetar?
I'll give this one about a 6.5, Dave.
6.5.
I'm not giving it one of my best, but I'll give it a 6.5.
I'm gonna give it a 7. Jeff's not here. Adam, you're up.
I'm doing 7.
Okay, and Jody. He put it in the comments. He said this is mediocre. A 5. Okay, and then the average from the 4 of us tonight is a 6.4. This has a 6.2 on the IMDb, as mentioned. Herb Kenwith, we didn't actually mention that. He was the director of this, but Jeremy Tarcher and Sherry Lewis wrote it. Aired on the 31st of January, 1969. Okay, so let's figure out what we're going to be watching next. And just to kind of quickly look there.
I'm up.
You're up. You pick one of the ones. Dave will show you the list.
So anything you see, I'll go. So anything in yellow is available. So here are the season 1 episodes.
You only have 29 more to do.
There's only 29 left.
Sorry, is that Bread and Circuses available?
Bread and Circuses is available.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, we're doing Bread and Circuses next. Is that the one where they go to like ancient Rome?
Yes, it's the Gladiator one.
The Gladiator one. Okay, so that is from season 2, episode 14. At least production wise. I have to look up the episode number. Okay, so we'll be doing Bread and Circuses next. That's exciting. Dad, do you remember that one?
Yeah, I believe I do. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll be talking about that next. That's got some reality TV things I think that will be interesting to talk about.
Earth,
another version where they just go to another version of Earth.
Wednesday too, so we won't be seeing Jeff.
No, we won't be seeing Jeff. It's the Galdiator, as Jody says. Okay, so I think we're gonna close the book here on the Lights of Zetar. And we will be back next week for Bread and Circuses. Also, check us out on Tuesday nights. We talk about Deep Space Nine. We're watching all those episodes in order. We're into the 6th episode of season 3, and you can check all those out. Yes, Jody, get it in before it's too late. Mary.
And Dave, you can say, "Turn out the lights. The Zetar is over."
Turn out the lights. The Zetar is over. Also, we do on the weekends, we often do Star Trek Radio Theater, where we do script reads and reenactments of classic Star Trek episodes, including Star Trek Voyager. And for the first, not for the first time we're doing Voyager, but we are going to be doing Captain Proton episode from Voyager called Bride of Chaotica. Jeff's going to be playing Tom Paris / Captain Proton. I'm going to be Dr. Chaotica. We're going to have a special guest star in Dylan Gonzalez, who's going to be playing Satan's robot and the Doctor / the President of Earth. This is a really fun episode that's kind of based on Flash Gordon 1930s serials. It's like a holodeck episode for the Voyager crew, and we all get to play around quite a bit with this. This episode was also retweeted this morning by Garrett Wang, who's Harry Kim himself, and he's going to be checking us out on Saturday nights. So, and we're hoping Robert Duncan will too, because those guys have been lobbying to get a Captain Proton show made, with their characters. So we're all really hoping that will come through, or at least I am.
Tweeted it through the universe.
He tweeted it out into the universe. And Jody, he's looking for he wants a good Star Trek shirt next week.
I'll be there. I had to rush home today. I'm sorry.
No time to change. It's not like he go down a bat pole and he's got to change his clothes, and
I'm going to buy one for next week. I'll be on with a new shirt next week, Jody.
Which Wayne did.
What's that?
Bruce Wayne did.
Oh,
Went
yeah.
down the pole.
You just hit the button on the way down the pole.
I need one of those.
All right. Also, check out our other channels, including Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, where we talk about a bunch of shows that aren't Star Trek related, including Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Big Brother Canada 9, which Jaemeel and I are covering 3 times a week, including tonight. We're going to be covering the veto episode at 9 o'clock tonight, as well as we'll be doing the Thursday eviction, and we do the Monday nominations as well. And we do trivial debates once a month, the last Sunday of every month, and that will actually be this Sunday, as Chris Seymour is set to host. And I know Eamon Mater is going to be competing, and so we're looking for 2 more contestants if anyone's interested.
What time are you going, Dave?
I think Sunday midday ish is kind of what we're thinking. But let me know if you have a time that works better, then we can see if that works.
Okay, I'll get back to you.
Okay, great.
All right. Well,
All
good
right,
luck on Saturday. I hope I'm gonna definitely listen in. I hope you guys get the views, and I'm sure you will actually after this.
Yeah, we got like 150 retweets off Garrett Wang, so that was not too bad. And so I'm hoping that hey, even if we get like a handful of listeners, live listeners, and commenters, that would be a big change. So hey, we'll take what we can get.
All right.
All for fun. All right. Well, let's close the book on the Lights of Zetar, season 3, episode 18, and we'll be back next week. All right. Until then, thanks, Dad. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Jody, in the comments, and we'll see you next.